Hello guys, Gennady here. Welcome back to ABPKit Dev series. Today we'll be carrying on with implementing the component responsible for loading a filter list from the bundle. So let's get straight away to the job. So in previous episode we kind of concluded most of the implementation of this component, but we didn't yet test it all of the necessary use cases. We have stopped on testing that we can load the filter list for custom path. And of course, we will need to move on with testing the ABP specific filter lists, and let's have a look at those. And those two are bundled AA with filter list, bundle filter list with AA and without AA. So we'll need to add the test cases that we can load those specific one from bundle. But before this, we need to do some cleanup and refactoring, because we have kind of a lot of applications, and at the same time thinking a little bit in the future, we can imagine that testing that we can load a filter list for ABP source will be kind of the same as for custom source. So most probably we will reuse a lot of code from here, and maybe it will be nice to have just one function that can help us to test any bundle filter list against some expected behavior. So let's get started straight away with this instantiation, creating the SUT. As always, it is very useful to have a function called make SUT, or whatever you want to call it. It's just a convention, it's not something nailed, so you can choose something else. For me, SUT works well because it kind of defines the system under test, and it's the name is different from other names in the test function. And the example here is that we have bundle and SUT, and when we read SUT, we already know that this is what will be testing, not bundle. If we'll have here bundle loader, then it's kind of a little hard to understand from the first step what we actually test. So let's actually implement this function, and we should determine what we want to return. But at least in this test, we see that we need the bundle and also the SUT. So maybe we should return both, but not yet sure that this is how we will end up with, but we shall see. Always we can change the code, because at the end of the day, this is why it's called software, because it's soft, and we can change it easily. So let's make use of our make SUT function. Here we don't need the bundle. Make SUT. Come on, Xcode, help me. And we also here we'll need SUT and bundle. Let's have the make SUT. I think we're good, but let's run our tests one more time and make sure that we are good. We don't rely on our senses. Let computer confirm that we are good. Let's add here some mark helpers, something like this. Okay, so we need a function to help us asserting the load of any bundle filter list source against some expected result. So let's create a function, and we kind of will need the same as we have here for the filter list loader and filter list source. And let's actually copy it and see how similar it will be. And maybe this will be a hint that we will need, or maybe we can create a function, a reusable function, that we can reuse it to assert all of the behavior, something like this. So let's go through it and see what we need to keep and what not. So we need to have the expect filter list load, which is good as a name, and we will have here bundled filter list loader. So we are good. Here we don't need bundle filter list source, we need bundled filter list source. Of course, here the SUT will be the bundle filter list loader. And let's see. And somewhat I have the impression that it's all that we had to do. Let's try and build and see. Yeah, it built successfully. Let's try and make use of it. You already can see how similar those two functions are, this one and this one. So maybe we will be able to have some generic functions and something like this that will contain all of this logic, and then we can reuse it across our tests. So let's try and make this magic happen. So we need to have here the result is failure, and we need here any error, and we already have any error defined here, but it's encapsulated in this test file, because at the moment we didn't need it for other files. So let's create a file called, I guess, where you are not sure how to call something, just add helpers because at the end of the day this is what it will be, a helper. Let's bring any error from here. Put it, I guess we need foundation to point to NS error. Okay, and this shouldn't be any more private because we need it. And here these tests should run good. Oh, not good. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So the previous test was good. Here we have access to any NS error. Now for the source we need to have the custom source, and file source does not exist. Let's call it missing JSON to be more specific, and we need the SUT. And what will be the action? Well, the action is actually nothing. We don't have action. So why don't we have here a default parameter? So we don't need to specify it because we don't have any collaborators to trigger the actions. So it should look something like this, and let's comment this out for the moment just to make sure that this works. Yes, we are good. We can get rid of this. Next, we need to do the same here. Expect filter list load. Well, actually, let's bring it. Let's copy paste because we are lazy. And we need to complete with success, of course. With success, our expected filter list. We can put it here. And we have bundle filter list, and we need also the file name like this, because we'll need it also here. And we should be good. Almost. And yes, everything working. Let's run all the tests. Yes, we're good. So we can see how much cleaner those tests look right now. But it's not necessarily only about the cleanliness, so to say. It's more about the expressiveness and how easy it's to understand what we want to achieve in the test, rather how we achieve it. The how is hidden here, but here we see what we want to do. So yeah, this is a pretty nice way to enhance your tests And tests also need to have the care, the need to be given the same care you give to your production side code. Okay, so let's move on to implement some things, because I don't think we can refactor something more. No, I don't think so. So let's try and run the test for ABP sources. So test load ABP source completes with filter list. We are good. Here we can say custom source, and we kind of implying by the name that the file exists for those one, because in first test we tested explicitly that the file does not exist. So what we need to have here, we need to bring those here, and actually also these. And let's see, we need to test not the custom but ABP source with a easy list. Okay, and what will be the expected name on the disk? It will be easy list plus exceptions, because this is what it does. It contains the easy list plus the exceptions. So we'll try to get this from the bundle and compare that our component loads correctly this. And let's run this and see it failing, because we actually don't have the file. And here we have the error thrown here, but not here, not in tests. So maybe this wasn't, after all, a very good approach. Maybe we need to reconsider it. But for the moment, let's add the file and get away from this crash, and then see if we can improve it or maybe get rid of it. Maybe we should see what are the options. So let's create the file, which we will call, oh come on, empty, which we will name, not call, we will name easy list. Well, I guess it should be with lowercase actually. Easy list dot exceptions plus exceptions dot JSON, and here we have the JSON, and let's change it here to be like this. And we have the custom. Let's create this one, and actually let's add one more so it is different from the custom. Okay, so now at least we shouldn't crash, because the file exists on disk, yes, but instead we complete it with load error, while we were expecting to have the content of file. And of course we failed with error, because we are returning here the path sum, and the sum.json does not exist. So let's move on with implementation. We have here ABP source. Then we need to take a look also in ABP source, and here we will have with AA source. Yes, and we can move this sum here. Okay, and here we have with AA source. Then we should again go over AA source, even though for the moment we have just one. And we have here easy list default. I guess we can remove it, easy list, and we can return easy list plus exceptions. That's what we were expecting. Let's see, now we should be good. Let's run our tests, and Yes, it passed. We have implemented this successfully. Now let's do the same for other easy list. This will be just easy list, and here it's without AA, so it's called just easy list. So we have the AA and non-AA. Let's have here with AA file name. Okay, and maybe we can put this straight away here in line, and here we can have without AA. And in line here to make it a little more cleaner, not so much lines. And of course we should add the JSON. Let's see. Nope, sadly I can't. I wanted to duplicate it, but somehow I missed the option of duplication. Let's create another JSON file and call it just easylist.json. And let's get the content of this, put it here, and add yet another one. So another one, a block of trigger and action, so it's different than others. So it's very useful to have the different contents in your test files. If you have some component responsible for loading or looking at some pool of files that you want to load, and then basically we want to assert that we load the specific content of the file, because if we have, let's say, the same here with EasyList JSON and EasyList exceptions will have the same content, we kind of can make sure which file was actually loaded. Of course, it kind of doesn't, let's say, make difference at that moment, because though they both contain the same content, so the content that is returned back is actually good for the moment. But with the time it might change and diverge, and our in production, I mean, might change and diverge. But in tests, we have the same content for both, and maybe we point each time to loading EasyList exceptions, even for when we want to load EasyList, and in our test we can capture this. So it's very useful to have the different content of files in tests, so we can make sure that we actually load different things. Okay, let's move back. We have added the file. If we run our test, we should have the error that we didn't manage to load the file, and it's because, of course, we here return just sum, and we will need, I guess, identically the same. Moving on with without the source, and let's call it non-AA source non-AA, and here we should have just EasyList. Let's run our tests, and we should be good, and we are good. So we have added the logic of loading the filter lists for ABP sources. And one thing here right in our face is that this is kind of convoluted. We have a switch up top, then we have yet another one, and then yet another one, and this can grow. This one right now there is one option, but at least the plan is to add at least some 9 or 10 other sources. So this switch will grow, this switch will grow, and this will be a little bit hard to maintain, even though we have the tests, and we'll be able to validate against those. And while I mentioned the tests, you can imagine that we will add here, where am I? When we will want to add a new source, we will just somewhat copy this, paste, and validate the implementation for the new source. So very easy to add the functionality for a new source. But let's move with Refactor this, because it's kind of looking ugly, And the tests will help us to make sure that we are not breaking anything. So what I'm thinking of is extract this and move to separate extensions, so this can be much cleaner. So let's create an extension on bundled ABP filter list source. We need the same variable name. Basically, let's copy this and put it here, and we can say here switch self. Yes, and now we can get rid of this and we can return ABP source file path. Let's align this and let's run our tests and make sure that we are working, and we should be good. Then we can take it one step further and go over the AA source. So we can say bundled with ABP with AA source, and we'll have the file path here. And just like this, over self, and let's do straight away the same for the case of having it without AA. Okay, we have it here without AA, switch self, and we should remove this. And then we will have here just AA source file path, non-AA source file path. We are good. Let's run our tests, or actually not quite. Missed here something. Let's run those. Yes, our tests passed, and now from the up top this kind of looks cleaner here. And then only changes that we will have when adding new filter resources, it will be just here and here. So it's very localized. We shouldn't touch those ones, at least if we will want to add some different type of bundle filter list source or a different type of ABP source. So yeah, we kind of achieved much in this episode. We have refactored our code, so we can add easily new bundled sources and test those ones also very easy. At the implementation side, we have added the support for loading the ABP sources. And in this part, we didn't touch it much, but this will be the subject of the next episode, where we will have to try a look on when this loading from the file can fail. Then we will tackle if do we actually need the class encapsulating the bundle. Maybe we can have just an extension on bundle conforming to this protocol, and we'll need to see what impact it has. And we already have seen that these kind of brings us some trouble. So we can have here error if we don't have files and so on. And I kind of not thinking that this is the best place where we should fail. But this will be the subject of the next episode. Thank you for staying till the end of the video. See you next time. Bye bye.